We deserve to go to a bowl. Ain't no question about it in anybody's mind.
Cooper Show. Brought to you by Albert Equipment, Eastern Oklahoma's Caterpillar dealer, Getty Refining and Marketing Company, and your local Getty refiner. Pepsi. Take the Pepsi challenge. Let your taste decide. Tulsa Cable Sports. Reading and Base, the diversified energy company. First of Tulsa. Get with the bank on the fast track. First Tulsa.
Good morning. We're delighted to have you with us. You're looking at the winningest coach in 40 years at the University of Tulsa. John, congratulations.
Thank you very much, Jerry. And I guarantee you one thing, I couldn't have done it without the great job that our assistant football coaches did and the great play of particularly our senior football players. We lost 17 great senior football players, Jerry, but our football team did everything we asked them to do all year long. And I've been to the Rose Bowls and Orange Bowls and you know, Peach Bowls and other bowls like that. I've never been more proud of a football team than I was our football team this season.
I know you told me right after the game yesterday that you've never been closer to a football team.
Very close football team, Jerry. And, you know, you brought it out. We talk about love and you know, fellowship on our football team. And this football team is real close. We have not had a discipline problem on our football team all year long, Jerry. Our players come to practice on time. They work hard. They've done everything we've asked them. And I tell you what, there'll always be a soft spot in my heart for this football team and coaching staff.
You know, could you have anticipated, I know you expected a good year, but could you have anticipated a 10-1 season?
Jerry, no way. There ain't any way in the world. If you just told me to start the season, Coach, you're going to win 10 ball games with the schedule we played, you know. 2 years ago, people were talking about, Coach, that's a murderous schedule. You need to get out of here. You need to find you another job someplace. We're playing Oklahoma State and Kansas and Air Force and Arkansas. And
back to back.
You know, back to back and on the road, some of those teams.
Right.
And we turned that thing around and win 10 ball games. And, you know, we made a commitment last year, though, Jerry, after our disastrous road trip over to Arkansas State. We made a commitment that we're going to have a great football team, a great football season this year. And our football players have done everything we've asked them to do. They lived in the weight program, in the weight room this winter. They worked extremely hard. And nobody on our football team had a bad year. I don't think you can single out anybody on the team that had a bad year. And a lot of those guys came through and had fantastic seasons. And, you know, Steve Cox at right guard, they're in a better offensive football player at his position in college football than Steve Cox. Skip Ast had a great year. And then when Skip got hurt here, Scott Brown came out of nowhere and had two great ball games. A good ball game yesterday. Michael Gunner, Ken Lacey. Our defensive football team. I tell you, the stats don't mean anything. But our defensive football team, when they had to, it's like the second half of the ball game yesterday. They took charge and won the ball game. And just, I can go on and on and on, and I tell you, I sound like a broken record, but I am obviously very proud of this football team indeed.
Was there a point during the season that really, when things came together and you knew, hey, we've got a chance to be great?
Jerry, when we started off the first part of the season, with the way we're playing on defense, you know, we're a young, untested defensive football team, lost all the entire front line players last year, Willis Caroline and George Gilbert and all those great players up front. When we came out against Oklahoma State and against Kansas and flew to the football and played with great intensity like we did early in the season, I knew we were going to have a good offensive football team. But when the defense gelled like that so early, and the attitude and work habits of our football team were such that we got better each and every day. We were good in September, we were better in October, and we were great in November.
And you have to improve. You do not stand still as a footballer.
You got to improve each and every day. And those players every day, as I mentioned earlier, came to practice, a great attitude, and worked hard. And we're 3 touchdowns better right now, Jerry, than we were to start the season. Now, in a way, that hurt us. That hurt us. And I don't want to be negative at all on my TV show, but I'll tell you right now, when teams around the country look at Tulsa University's 10-1 record, they don't want to play us in bowl games.
That's right.
And I don't blame them. I think that hurt us in Independence Bowl. I think it's hurt us in other bowls around the country already. But, hey, I'm proud of that. If we don't ever play another football game, and then we may or may not, depending on what happens this afternoon, but if we don't ever play another football game, we have had a fantastic season. I love every one of those football players, and they'll always mean a lot to John Cooper.
You know, before we get into the big play and the highlights, we should bring the fans up. All the fans out there don't know exactly what you and I may know about the bowl situation, but just bring them up where we're at here. We're on live, as most of you know. We're on here about 23 or 4 minutes until the hour.
Jerry, the Independence Bowl led me to believe yesterday that if we win, we got a chance to go. As soon as the game's over, the guy comes in the dressing room and says, Coach, it doesn't look good. So the only thing I can tell you about that bowl is I think we were misled right up until the very end. And I don't want to say anything more about it. If you can't say anything good about it, anybody don't say anything at all, and I can't say anything, you know, good, so just forget the Independence Bowl. When we got back last night, I got a call from the people at the Hall of Fame Bowl. They've got one spot open opposite Vanderbilt right now. The guy was very, very honest and open to me. He said, Coach, we're looking at Duke, looking at Miami, Florida, we're looking at Tulsa, we're looking at Air Force, and there's one other team, and he could not recall that last night. I've been in conversation this morning, Jerry, with I've probably been on the phone 3 hours this morning. Dr. Turner's been on the phone. We got an outside shot at the Hall of Fame Bowl, opposite Vanderbilt. The committee's going to meet at 2 o'clock this afternoon. They're going to make a decision by 5 o'clock, and we'll know something later on today. But I talked to the people of Vanderbilt. They'd like to play us, and they feel very, very, very positive about the chance to have a real good football game with Tulsa University. I hope we don't scare anybody off of their record.
We'll know this afternoon, and we'll let you know. Now, we always start the program off with a big play, and John's already said the defense made some big plays the second half. 5 interceptions that second half.
Jerry, the adjustments that we made all season long have really helped us, but the adjustments that our defensive coaching staff made at halftime yesterday's ball game, we made a decision to play 5 defensive backs. We took a defensive end out and put another defensive back in the ball game. In the second half, intercepted 5 passes. And our 2 senior linebackers, Blake Borkman and Bob Babbage, what games they played all season long, but in yesterday in particular, the 2 interceptions they made were just fantastic. And the big play we've chosen, I think, is the interception by Blake Borkman.
Yeah, we're going to play them both, as a matter of fact, just as you indicate, those 2 guys. Here's the first one.
Blake Borkman makes this interception right here, and not only did he make a great interception, I want you to watch this run.
That's
Number
incredible.
60, you know, he's a senior football player out of Dallas. He just would not be denied. Look here, he's going to break 4, 5, 6 tackles. I had to do over again. We'd probably play him at fullback, Jerry, the way he ran. But
now, we go on and score from there, and from that point, we never trail again. Now,
here is and score. Now, here's Bob Babbage, and what a year Bob Babbage has had. He's going to intercept, and Bob intercepted a pass earlier in the season, got caught from behind. No way number 8's going to catch him, I'll tell you right now.
That's their quarterback, number 8, who threw the interception, who cannot catch up with the senior linebacker. And 5 interceptions.
5 interceptions, and you know, Jerry, people talk about stats. We did this, we did that. The important thing is your won-loss record. We're 10-1 right now. They threw the football. I didn't care if they threw 80 passes yesterday. I don't worry about how many they complete. I worry about how many we get. That's what we talked to our defense about at halftime. We got 5 interceptions, and what a great job Coach Kane has done with that secondary all season long. We rank right now 2nd in the nation in number of interceptions, and the great thing about it is no one player back there has a monopoly. Yeah. The most anybody's got in the secondary is 4. And you got Babbage and Borkman, and you got Cliff Abbott, and you got the linebacker Brian Burrows and Joe Blankenship. And the great thing about this football season, Jerry, and I don't want to keep harping on it, but when you see guys like Joe Blankenship, when you see guys like Skip Ast, when you see guys like Bob Babbage, or 5th-year seniors, and they're great people, and they don't have all the talent in the world.
They don't have 4 or 5.
But I'm going to tell you right now, they laid it on the line, and they played up to their abilities every ball game, and that's what it's all about.
That's absolutely right, and it was just gorgeous to watch him. We're going to be back and look at some interesting highlights right after this timeout. John, if we roll into this first half of highlights, I don't know in mid-November how you could find a more beautiful day than we had yesterday.
It was beautiful. If anything, Jerry, it was a little bit on the warm side.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, the air conditioning paid off in the second half of yesterday's ball game, and the fact we placed so many players on defense paid off. We were substituting, playing 2 defensive lines, 2 sets of linebackers, and that really helped us on down the stretch yesterday.
Take a look here, and you see they're on a natural grass field that has already turned brown. Had a pretty good map, though. They played a high school game out there the night before, Coach.
They're going to kick off to us right here, Jerry. The wind was a little bit of a factor, but the sunshine and the heat, I think, was more. If I look at the crowd we've got there yesterday, I can't say enough about our fans, Jerry. They have really helped our football team this year. We started out with Skip Ast at quarterback. Skip, as you know, is recovering from knee surgery. Mike Gunner had a fantastic season. Broke all the school rushing records, the conference rushing records in the season. Here's Skip running what we call the load option, picking up first down. And, Jerry, I'll say this. 38 points is the most points scored on this defense, on North Texas State's defense all season long.
Yep.
SMU scored 38 points early in the season on artificial surface, but North Texas State had a good defensive football team.
Yes, they do. Now, this is actually Tulsa's second drive that we picked it up with. Second possession of the first period, and Tulsa on their way to their first touchdown.
Throw a pass there a little bit incomplete. Skip's timing was off slightly yesterday. He obviously had not practiced as much as he normally does during the week. Kurt Steinauer had a great year at tight end. We come in and...
now, what you don't see on this, John, is Stu was roughed on that. He is going to get hit after he kicks the ball, and right there, you see it just at the bottom of your screen. You just got a bit of
obviously a good call, Jerry. He knocked him flat of his back. Stu Crum did a good job following through. They get a 15-yard rough and the kicker penalty, and the football team that takes advantage of their opportunities, the team that wins the ball game. Here's Mike Gunner on the outside veer. Mike Gunner again. They're playing an 8-man front, and our offensive line doing a good job opening up some good holes. Here's Skip on the, what we call, now we get a holding penalty on that.
Yep.
We score a touchdown, and they call us for holding and bring it back, and we've got to score again. First and goal from the 5. Ken, you need to cut up inside on that one. Now, they're a defensive end skating outside, and we come with the old trap pass. The play's been real good for us, and Kurt Steinauer made a great catch. Senior tight end out of California. Senior tight end, number 80, Kurt Steinauer. And that's his running mate, Kevin Harlan, number 86, the other tight end. We were in a 2 tight end offensive set there, Jerry.
Got a great look. Boy, I tell you, Tulsa had more fans there in North Texas.
We had more fans than they did. And the other thing was disappointing. A lot of our fans stayed home because they made reservations going to Independence Bowl.
Yep.
I got a call last night, Jerry, from some fans who've been down to Independence Bowl last year, and they said, "Coach, don't feel bad. They did you a favor, not asking you to come." There's Cliff Abbott, number 57, junior linebacker.
He is the only one of the 4 kind of interchangeable linebackers back next year.
That's exactly right. But I tell you, we've got some good young ones with redshirt, Jerry. Jimmy Summers going to be a good football player. I guarantee you, Greg Thomas worked hard every day in practice. Going to have a good career for us at linebacker.
Now, kind of, Coach, they're not throwing anything deep, hardly anything deep at all. Throwing little flare patterns out of the backfield.
Jerry, and they had a hot hand in the first half. They're throwing 2- and 3-yard patterns. I think they had one thing in mind here. Look at there. That's a 2-yard gain.
That's right.
They're trying to set a record. They're trying to get this number 7 the ball as much as they can. He had a great day. He caught 22 passes yesterday.
Yep.
But the longest pass he caught was, we had one for 26-yard gain. Other than that, the longest passes he's catching 6, 7, 8 yards.
Yep.
Like that.
That's right.
Like I say, in the second half, we got 2 touchdowns off of their mistakes in the passing game. That's a good throw and catch there for a touchdown, though. They did a good job throwing the football. What they call run and shoot offense.
Now we're picking it up in the second period.
Scott Brown in at quarterback now, handing the ball to Ken Lacey. Lacey's out of the Dallas area. Another fine ball game. David Hershey catching the ball on a quick out pattern. David's going to be a fine receiver for us here. He's a fine athlete.
Is. Some of their defense there, you see, they play the run pretty well.
I'll tell you right now, their nose guard was a player of the year in the state of Texas 4 years ago. As a running back. Here's Scott throwing the ball to Kirk Phillips. Kirk Phillips really came on strong at the end of the season, Jerry.
Gain of 12.
Number 21. I hope he gets a chance to play in the professional football. Scott was 6 out of 7 throwing the football. Scott Brown, our junior quarterback. Outside veer. Come back and run the option. And like I said, their defense is flying in the football.
Yeah, they pursue well. It's hard to run wide on them yesterday. Stu going to come on and kick a 35-yard field goal.
Sound like a broken record there. Every time Stu kicks the football, it's a new conference, a new school record. I tell you, he had a fantastic career, Stu Crum.
Now, we picked them up late in their next drive, in which they're going to settle for a field goal, which will tie the game at 10-10. It's a good football game.
Get at it. It's a good ball game right here.
Joe Blanken
missed a chance to intercept that one. Joe knocked it down. Make the Oski when you can. Make the interception when you can. Get after the defense. Good pass rush. Timmy Gibbs, number 23, a strong safety out of Bigsby. Tom Baldwin, Kevin Lilly, Brian Bruner on the defensive line, putting good heat on the quarterback. Need to intercept that one. Ball's bouncing around. We had four or five opportunities to make interceptions in the first half, Jerry. They got a hot hand, and they kick a field goal, and the score's tied now 10-10.
10-10. And we are still in the second period.
Mean Green. They've got a rich tradition in football there at North Texas State.
Start with Joe Green. Boy, that's they've turned out some good ball players.
Kurt Phillips on the return, gets the ball out to the 20-yard line. Here's Mike Gunner. We didn't block those guys as well yesterday as we have some teams.
Lacey, good run here, though.
Ken Lacey on the old draw play.
Look at that. He will not be tackled.
Oh, we're going to miss Ken Lacey. What a great career he's had.
18 yards. Yep.
Outside veer, and they play it real well.
Big pass here, Coach, down the boundary.
Kurt Phillips, what a great catch. Look at Kurt. Over his shoulder, catches the ball, and about a 45-yard pass, completed pass. Take it on in and score now, offense. Come on, let's go. We need it. Counter dive. Boy, they played the inside game real tough yesterday, Jerry. Playing us an 8-man front. We come back with the outside veer. Good read. Scott Brown on the option. Ken Lacey takes it down to the 3-yard line. And we'll come right back with the outside veer again. We load off of it, and Scott takes it down in for the touchdown. Great effort by Scott Brown.
17-10 with the point after. 80 yards, 7 plays. That was an impressive drive.
The important thing about that is we got the momentum back there. Now, we were trying to hold them right before halftime. They come out with that little short passing game again. They're putting their strength into the boundary, Jerry, and going away from our strong safety an awful lot in the first half.
Noticed that, yeah.
That's the adjustment we made at halftime. We put another defensive back in the game, and that really confused them in the second half.
Now, they're going to settle here. They're going to try to score. That's good coverage, Robert Estes. Now, they're going to settle for a 42-yard field goal coming up here in just a moment, just before halftime. So, actually, you keep them out of the end zone.
We kept them out of the end zone. Again, we missed a chance for an interception. They got a good field goal kicker.
Yeah, they do.
He drills this thing now right through the uprights. 17-13.
And that is the halftime score as they go to the dressing room. And John. John, we roll into the second half now. We're going to pick up about the second possession. You made some adjustments, but they actually go ahead here early in the second half.
They went ahead early in the second half. The only adjustment we made at halftime is to play the fifth defensive back we talked about, Jerry, and we got settled down. We quit worrying about what they were doing, a little bit more about how we were playing in the second half.
Well, there's no way to shut out this short a passing game completely.
No way at all. And I tell you what happened, Jerry, is we let them live a little bit early in the ball game, and they gained confidence as the game went on, and then we had a contest on our hands. But I'm real proud of our football team because they never gave up. They kept fighting back, and they really buckled down and played football when they had to.
And you see the kind of routes they're throwing. This is a nice pattern, and that's Walker.
They got us in man coverage. What they were doing so much of in the first half is isolating number 7 on a linebacker, and there ain't any way you can play man coverage. Ask the linebacker to cover the best receiver on the football team. So the adjustment that our defensive staff made, Coach Nolan, Coach Kane, Coach Jones, and Coach Young made at halftime was a great adjustment, and it really paid off here as the game went on.
And it's going to pay off right about now, as a matter of fact.
Right there it is. We got great coverage, and that's Blake Borkman, the big play of the ball game, number 60. And this really got our offensive team excited on the sideline. Not only the interception, but the great run that Blake made afterwards.
Now, Tulsa trailing 20-17 at that time, and you're going to see it again here.
We talk about scoring on defense, Jerry, and this is great defensive football. You can see the back there, number 15, Brent Dennis. Intercept its highest point, catch the ball in your hands. That's Robert Estes flying through the air, number 32. Albert Myers, number 48, getting in front, getting ready to throw a block. Old Blake just ran right over that offensive tackle.
Look at that. Catches himself on his hand and his knee, it never hits down.
Fantastic effort. He just would not be denied, would he? Great
effort.
Boy. Kelly Beasley out front blocking, number 43. Boy, Kelly's had a fine senior year for us out of Bristow.
And this gets momentum turned around.
We line up in the old wing set and run some motion, got him a little bit off balance, and came out with the outside veer. Mike Gunner. Boy, he's running tough. See, as I mentioned earlier, the difference in the ball game, it's a mental game. It's a mental game. Here we hand to Gunner again, picks up 3 or 4 yards over left guard John Kaspersky. David Imes had a fantastic year for us at center, number 54. David Pearson, number 70. Lacey's running tough.
That's a tough run, I'll tell you what.
Lacey's 210 pounds, running real tough. Mike Gunner on the outside veer for the touchdown. Put it in the end zone, Mike. Number 22.
Point after puts Tulsa on top 24-20, and the game has changed
The
for
game
all
has
time
changed,
now.
and we're going to win it on defense now. We're going to score on defense.
Now we're in the fourth quarter now. We've dropped down to pick it up in fourth.
Jerry, why they're trying to run the football now, I'll never know. The other thing I don't understand, we're leading 38-20, and they used about 5 minutes of the clock throwing 2 and 3 yard patterns. They're not going to win the ball game doing that.
They can't move against Tulsa's defense. Kick it away. Tulsa's got pretty good field position.
Come on, let's take it and go score. Steve Cox at right guard, Sid Abramowitz right tackle. Kurt Steinauer, good block at right end, number 80. Mike Gunner on the toss sweep.
Michael, 17 yards on that.
17 yards, and Mike broke the school rushing record yesterday.
Yep.
Record held by Howard Wall back in the 50s. Lacey on the outside veer.
Wouldn't tackle that young man.
Scott Brown's doing a good job of reading the play on the outside veer.
There's a typical Gunner run.
Look at that run. Look at that run. What a great running back he is.
See it on a replay, 28 yards here. Watch him in
Good block
traffic.
by Lacey. Look at the block by Ken Lacey. Kirk Phillips downfield throwing a block, number 21.
I think Kirk got 2 people on that.
Lacey, if that's AstroTurf, Lacey Mike Gunner scores on that play, Jerry. That grass slowed us down a little bit yesterday. We don't have grass practice areas, you know. A little bit of adjustment playing on the natural surface. We missed it. We have a misread there. Hand him the football. He goes and scores there. We hand him the ball down to the 1 yard line. They stop us here, Jerry, and we get a break. It looks like he was over right there. They didn't give us a touchdown. We get a break. They're going to line up offside. We run the play, and their defense is offside.
Flag went down immediately.
And then we're going to hand the ball to Ken Lacey. Get up over top Lacey for the touchdown.
They're going to stop him. 31-20 as the point after is added. Things, Hayes pretty much in the barn, but we still got another big play coming.
Right here, Jerry, because we're playing good defense with the adjustment we made. Our pass rush is getting better. We got a 4-man rush. You can see the coverage is excellent in the secondary. That's Kelly Beasley, number 43.
Kelly had an interception yesterday.
Playing John Cooper and Timmy Gibbs at the strong safeties, and Albert Myers, Robert Estes, Bob Babbage, Aliquippa, Pennsylvania. Down the sideline, Bob, use your speed and put it in the end zone.
Now, we're going to see it on replay. I think somebody deflected that football. I thought when I was doing the broadcast yesterday. I'm going to try to see if I can tell.
He's going to be a good football player.
Well, maybe not. Yeah, I believe he did. It looks like it changed the rotation on the ball a little.
Number 93, Dunlap. You can see number 97 there chasing. Bob will talk about this later on. He's going to be the guest on the show, Jerry, but he made an interception against New Mexico State and got out in the open and was looking back, and the guy caught him. Boy, I tell you, he was looking at one direction Saturday, and that's in the goal. That's in the end zone.
38-20, and Hay is in the barn, and the University of Tulsa has gone 10-1, and the defense is celebrating in the end zone.
Rogers Hayden, number 49, and Kelly Beasley, and James Dunlap, and Steve Ford, and Timmy Gibbs.
See the final stats on the game. You wind up against, it's fine, a defense they had, you wind up 266 yards rushing on them, almost 400 yards total offense.
We're 4th in the nation right now in rushing offense. We're in the top 10 in scoring offense. We're averaging over 31 points a game, and 10-1 mark on the season, and Mike Gunner is the best running back in the history of the school, and Ken Lacey went over 1,000 yards. There's only been 14 teams in the history of college football have 2 runners gain 1,000 yards in one season rushing, and the offensive line did a great job, and we can go on and on and on.
Stu Crum holds, I guess, every record there is in the Valley.
Every record you could think of in kicking in the Valley. That's right.
Hadn't been a bad year.
Steve Cook had a great year punting the football, too.
He leads the Valley, too. And we'll be back and meet our Player of the Week right after this timeout.
Jerry, I'm big on football trivia. You know, we ask all these trivia questions around the office, and I'm going to throw one at you now. There's been 3 great football players from Aliquippa, Pennsylvania: Mike Ditka and Tony Dorsett, and the third one this morning is our guest on our show, the Reading and Bates Player of the Week, and he's a big in my heart. I'll tell you right now, he ain't big enough to play the college game. He ain't fast enough to play the college game. But I'll tell you one thing, he's smart enough to play it, and his heart is big enough to play it, and what a great year he's had, and I've never coached a football player, never been around a football player I think any more of than Bob Babbage. this week's Reading and Bates offense, our defensive player of the game. Congratulations, Bob.
Thank you, Coach.
Bob, that's a lot of nice things for a head coach to say about a player, and you deserve them, every one. And I know you were as pumped after that game yesterday as anybody I've seen.
Yeah, I was really pumped. That was the best record of a football team that I've been associated with. It was just a great team to be associated with, and I was glad we could win that last game, go 10-1.
Not only does Bob this morning represent himself, Jerry, we've got him as a spokesman today for our defensive football team. He's the only defensive player we've had on the show all year.
Yep.
But our defense, Bob, has played together all season long. They've been worked hard in practice. Coach Knowles been getting after you guys, getting chasing the football, and I'm really proud of the way you play, and really proud of the way our entire defensive team has played.
Well, thank you, Coach.
Bob, how did this team come together? Because now on the defensive side of the football, as John is saying, that's where we were youngest. You know, we knew going in going to be a good offensive line, and you know some good things could happen. But the front end of the defense, particularly the guys in front of the linebackers, these are new people.
Yeah, and they really come around this year. They make the linebackers, and they keep the offensive linemen off of us and stuff, and they really come along this year and really helped us.
Surprised you they came that quickly?
Not really. Tom Baldwin, I didn't know much about him, but when he came in 2 days, I knew he was going to be good. And Kevin Lilly, he's good, and I knew he'd be a good one. And Brian Bruner and Mike Womack, I had confidence in all of them before this season because I went through spring ball with them, and I knew they could do it.
Yeah.
And Joe Dixon came through, too.
Oh, yeah, Joe.
Freshman out of Bacola. Roger Hayden had a good year. Everybody we played in the games, I said earlier, Jerry, had great seasons for us.
Let me ask you, Bob, who do you identify, who do the linebackers identify most with? Do you identify with the down linemen or with the defensive backs or the defensive ends? Who do you consider yourself nearest to in the way you have to perform?
We're a combination of both because we have to play like a down lineman taking on guards that are blocking us and stuff, and then we have to drop back in coverages like a defensive back. So I'd say we're a combination of both.
John, on your defensive scheme, the linebackers are awfully important.
Linebackers are very, very important. As I mentioned earlier, the great thing about Bob Babbitt, he's such an intelligent football player. You know, he calls the defenses. He gets us lined up right. He gets back in his zone. He scrapes outside on outside running plays, and just, boy, I just can't say enough about it.
Let's take a look at some of the defense yesterday, and Bob, take a look at yourself as we go along here. Well, I don't think that's quite ready yet. So something I don't know, and I'm sure John's already found out, but Bob, tell me something about what you're studying in school for the fans out there, what you'd like to do with your life on down the road and be doing, say, 10 or 15 years from now.
Right now I'm studying business management, but I'm thinking about going into coaching, though. I'm thinking about really going into coaching.
I'm going to have to talk to you later on today.
Did you change? You obviously have changed your mind since you came to college then about coaching.
Yeah. I went into business just because that was the thing to do. Everybody was going into business, but I'm not a business type person. I love football, and I'd like to stay around for a while.
Can you teach? I mean, can you teach? Can you go out and teach a young man what you know now, you feel?
I don't know. I'd like to give it a try. I'm not sure.
What do you think, John?
Well, there's no question in my mind he can. It makes me feel good that Bob's thinking about going into coaching, Jerry, because I like to feel like that our coaching staff has played a big influence on his decision to go into coaching. Coach Knoll and maybe myself has influenced Bob a little bit. I know this. He's a great young man. He's going to leave here with a degree someday, and he's going to be a real influence on the other young players that we have in our program. Bob does a great job helping us recruit student athletes to our fine school, and we're just very, very proud of him. And whatever you do, Bob, I wish you all the luck in the world, and you know how I feel about you.
Thank you, Coach.
Bob, you know, a couple of years ago, there's quite a bit written about the four linebackers that play for the University of Tulsa because, interestingly, you're almost the same size, yourself and Blake Bjorkman and Brian Burrows and Cliff Abbott, about the same size, same speed, and almost interchangeable. That's been a plus.
Oh, yes, it has, because in certain games, like when I'm not playing good, Blake come in and get the defense up, and when Cliff's not playing good, Brian come in and get the defense up, so it has been a plus.
Well, we really want to congratulate you, and as Coach said, representing the defense here, and hey, you've got to play on both sides of the football to go 10-1, Coach. I'll guarantee you.
No question about it. Done a great job not only on defense but in the special teams and their leadership on and off the football field, in the weight room, in the winter conditioning program, and the gases we run after practice. Just everything we've asked him to do. We're very, very proud of you, Bob.
Thank you, Coach.
Bob, have a great life.
Well, thank you, Jerry.
Good to have you with us today. And we've got some special guests coming up. We've got some special features, and you won't want to go away. Stick around now, and we'll be back with more of the John Cooper Show after we take this time out. John, we have some very special guests this morning.
They're special to me, Jerry, I'll say that.
I know they are. I know all of you have met these people before over the years that John has been head coach here at the University of Tulsa, and if you go to games, you see them at every football game. If you're on the road, you see them, John. Mrs. Cooper, Helen, we're very delighted to have, and of course their daughter Cindy is on the far end, and as you know, young John plays on the football team and is probably looking in this morning very proudly.
Well, I hope he is. He woke up this morning, but obviously I'm very proud of my family, Jerry, and Cindy's our #1 fan. She makes a sign every week, you know, and I think she feels like that she's contributed to the 10-1 record so far we've had this season.
Hey, I feel like she's contributed a great deal because I remember her as a top recruiter a couple of years ago when young John was looking at several colleges to go to, and I think she worked on him awfully hard to come to the University of Tulsa.
She sure did.
Helen, I know, you know, John talks about on the show a great deal how special you have to be a coach's wife, and you're more aware of that than anybody I know, whether you're a head coach's wife or an assistant coach's wife, because the coaches are on the road, they're recruiting, they are scouting, long nights looking at film, as you well know. What advice could you give for a young woman thinking of marrying a coach, we'll say, or a young man who's going into the coaching profession?
Well, I think the one thing, if I had to relive my life over, is you had to move a lot. I guess...
so you adjust to that.
If we stay here, this will be 6 years. This ties with Kansas. We were the longest that we've been in any one place. If I had my life to do over, I would, anytime I would go to any place, I would make friends and go there and act like I was going to live there forever.
Right.
I would
have to take that
be
approach,
happier every place that I would go.
I think you have to take that approach. You have to be a fan, obviously. I mean, there's no way you could be a coach's wife.
I love football. I can't imagine my life without football.
I think the thing that happens, Jerry, is these players they're more than players to us. You know,
sure.
They're family, and you get real close to them. And about the time you really get close to them, such as Bob Babbage, well, then they're ready to leave you. But this is a close football team we've talked so much about, and sometimes we feel like maybe we don't do enough for our players. But you know, you got 95 football players, and you try to be fair to all of them, treat them all alike, and you can't show favoritism. We try to be firm, be fair, and without playing favorites, you know. But I think Helen probably feels the same way. But down the bottom of her heart, Jerry, if she could visit Bob Babbage this afternoon, her advice would say, Bob, don't go into coaching.
Helen, it's a little different for you, too, because now you've got a son playing college football. And so you're not only a coach's wife, you're a mother. And I know from having 3 sons, you know, that that is a difficult function, you know, because you love that child and you don't want to see him injured.
I always say a special prayer. Well, I say a special prayer for all of them, but as a mother, I find that extra special prayer for him, too.
Of course.
For him not to be injured.
Yeah.
But he's made us real proud. I'm real proud of him.
I should think so. And Cindy, it's got to be a special feeling for you because I talked to you a lot that year that John was a senior at Memorial High School, and you were a couple of years younger then, and you've grown up some since then. But I know it's a special feeling for you to sit up in the stands now and see a brother on the field.
I do. I look for him all the time. I just, you know, when he goes out, I look for him on the field, and it's really great.
Does it make a difference in your life at school? You know, do you talk about your brother and your father at school? And
Yeah, some of my friends, they come up to me after a game, you know, and razz me about it. See,
well, they don't get to razz you much when you win 10 ball games, I'll tell you that.
It's a real special time Monday night. Her daddy's going to be the guest speaker at the 8th grade Bird Junior High School banquet.
Yeah, we should have said that Cindy attends Bird Junior High.
She's a cheerleader.
Yeah. And that's
well, the thing we try to teach Cindy, and I think she does a good job this year, is she hadn't been real boastful when we've won ball games, because there's going to be, you're not going to be 10-1 at Tulsa University every year, and there's going to be
or anywhere else.
That's exactly right. There's going to be other times when you lose ball games. So, you know, you've got to, if you win, well, you've got to win, you know, win like a champion. If you lose, well, you've got to keep your head up high and not brag, and, you know, not be boastful if you win and not be too down if you lose.
And Cindy, it's got to be an assistance to you as a cheerleader, because you know the game of football, and I think the first thing that a cheerleader ought to know is the game of football, and having a father and a brother involved, that is a help, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It's fun watching, you know, seeing what's going on the sidelines, and my dad coaching, and
Well, Cindy spends a lot of time on the sideline with you near the end of ball games.
She spends a lot of time. She's made signs before every ball game. She spends a lot of time, and we're fortunate here at TU because I do have a chance as a head football coach to take my wife and take Helen and Cindy with us on all the road trips, so they get to know the players real well, Jerry.
We feel fortunate to be able to go on the trips with him. And I told you I wanted to
Yes, something special she wants to say.
And I hope a lot of the football players are watching over at the dorm, because I just want to thank them for being so courteous to Cindy and myself all during the football season. They always made us feel like we were supposed to be with them, and so we really appreciate that.
Well, you know, I have this feeling about that. I think it is great because a lot of these young men, and you think about Bob Babbage. Now, Bob is from Pennsylvania. There's a lot of these young men who never have a chance to have a parent here, to have a mother here, or an older sister, or anything like that. And I think you serve a great purpose. You know, I think they search the stands for you. I really do. And I think it's nice that you get to come.
Well, I love every one of them. They don't know it, but like when we go to the movies and, you know, everybody's buying snacks and everything, I look around and I wished I had $100 with me, because I'd love to buy every one of them snacks. And
They'd like that, wouldn't they, John?
They don't know how much I really do think of them, how much they really do have meant to us this season. They're a great bunch of young men, the greatest we've ever been around.
Oh, they are. There's just no doubt about that.
No question about it,
Talk
Jerry,
about the character they've got. That's marvelous. Hey, we've got a special piece coming up that you're all going to enjoy a great deal, and we want you to stick around because Neil Jones has put together an end of the football season, regular football season kind of piece, and that's coming up next. So let's take a time out, and we'll be back. Well, we have talked about what a great season it has been. A 10-1 campaign for the University of Tulsa, the best record in 40 years, the first 10-game season in 40 years, and all the great players and the great coaching. And Neil Jones from our staff worked throughout the night to try to put that all in perspective. So let's roll into that.
When the Tulsa Golden Hurricane opened the 1982 season, Coach John Cooper's team faced many challenges. They would be embarking on a very tough non-conference schedule, and much of their squad was young and inexperienced, including a quarterback that had started only one time in his major college career. But any questions that people might have had before that first game have been more than answered. This was to be a group of players and coaches that would meet their challenges.
Back the gunner, cuts it upfield, cuts back 35, 30. He might go 25, 20. He's going to go all the way for a touchdown.
We got a bunch of kids that work hard, and good things happen to you when you work hard.
Well, this is probably the closest team I've ever been associated with in any sport. I don't think anybody's afraid to say it. We love each other.
I've never been closer to a bunch in my whole life. These guys are all like brothers to me. Coaches, I mean, they openly admit that they love everyone. They'll chew you out, but there's nothing like having a coach that, you know, tell you he loves you right before the game no matter what happens.
Great effort. A great effort. I'm proud of it. Love every one of you.
I've never been around a football team that's as close as we are. Coaches and players, and the players have worked extremely hard. They've dedicated themselves to having a great season. And I told our football team after the game that they'll remember this for the rest of their lives. You know, Tulsa's got a great tradition in football, and here we've got the best record they've had in 40 years, and it's just fantastic.
Just like the light of a new day, it hit me from out of the blue, breaking me out of the spell I was in, making all of my wishes come true. Believe it or not, I'm walking on air. I never thought I could feel so free, flying away on a wing and a prayer. Who could it be? Believe it or not, it's just me.
You know, I couldn't ask for anything more in my senior year. It's been a fun team to play with. We had a lot of great senior leadership, a lot of good unity in the football team. It's just been a real joy.
This is the closest team I've ever been around as long as I've played. As far as the coaching staff are concerned, hey, I think they did a great job, and they really dedicated themselves to this season, and it paid off for us.
The hard work and effort shown by the Golden Hurricane players and coaches certainly did pay off in the end, as TU took home its second straight conference championship with a 10-1 record. But even after the statistics have been long forgotten, the spirit of this team will live on in the hearts of each of its team members.
Good job, good job, good job, good job, good job. We got so tight, and towards the end of the year, towards this game, it was just like we were one person walking out there on the field. I'm going to miss it. I really am going to miss it real bad. The guys and the coaching staff, and Skipper is too here.
I remember the fellowship I had more than anything. You know, the great record's fun, and all the press we had was really nice. But more than anything, I just remember the guys. You know.
It's hard to say the one thing I remember about the season, but I know this: I'll never coach a football team. It means more to me than this team does.
That's a great job by Neil Jones. It's hard to add anything to that, John.
You can't add anything to that. You know what my thoughts were as I was watching that, Jerry? If I could take that to Birmingham and show it to the Hall of Fame committee, there wouldn't be any question about who they'd have in that ball game.
I think you're absolutely right. We'll be back. We got to take a time out. We'll be back right after this this word with a final look on the John Cooper Show.
For just about any car on the road today.
John, on this final show, a lot of people we want to say thanks to.
Jerry, without our fine sponsors, you know, we wouldn't even have a show. I'm certainly indebted to Getty Oil Company, Albert Equipment, Pepsi, Williams Company, Reading and Bates, Tulsa Cable TV, Bank of Commerce, First National Bank, and I guess most importantly, though, Jerry, I'm really thankful to work with you on the show. It's been a great year for us, and you've made it easy for me, and I sure appreciate it.
Well, this is the third year that John and I have done this show together, and I enjoy it. You know, something we don't say very often, and something I think is important. We do this show live. You're not seeing us taped here. As far as I know, this and the basketball show at TU are the only live shows in America. And what that means to me is there aren't many coaches who do that because first thing you got to do, you got to be honest, and you're that, John, and we really appreciate you.
Well, I appreciate that, Jerry. We've tried to be honest with our football team all season long and our football fans all season long, and obviously it's paid off. But again, I owe thanks to so many people, the people who made the show possible, our great fans, our senior football players, our coaching staff, the wives of the players, and this season will never be forgotten.
I'll guarantee you it will not. And we thank you, Mrs. Cooper, for being with us this morning, and Cindy, thank you so much, and John, And I want to say a special word to our staff here for setting up all the nights to help John and I look good out here. Mike Davis, our producer, who's done a marvelous job, and Davis Ward, the director, and Neil Jones, who's put together great stuff for us, and Jim Abbott, our photographer. I think this is 23 years he shot TU highlights, John, and so many others. I shouldn't even have started naming names. Rick Scott. You all know who you are, and we appreciate you, and we're looking for the clock to tick on down this afternoon. We'll see what happens. Good luck to you.
Thank you very much, Jerry. Thank you.
And thank you, all of you, for your support. Bye-bye.
Get your read down. Get your read. Eagle twist 9. Ready? Left 74 choice on 1. Ready? Wait a minute, hurry, Mike! Get the steamer! Good job!
The John Cooper Show has been brought to you by Albert Equipment, Eastern Oklahoma's Caterpillar dealer, Getty Refining and Marketing Company, and your local Getty retailer. Pepsi. Take the Pepsi Challenge. Let your taste decide. Tulsa Cable Sports. The Williams Companies. Worth watching in the 80s. Adolph Coors and Company and its Oklahoma distributors. Coors, made for the way you really like to drink beer. Bank of Commerce. The bank that means business.
Office seating provided by L&M.